And Jeff, I'm going to need you to spread a little more. The grants that I put in there is not showing right now, so it's going to take me a couple minutes.
Oh, okay. No worries. No
Okay.
worries, Whitney or Mindy. I've got you towards the end, so we'll get you in there.
All right, good.
So, all right. Well, let's officially get started. And welcome to your journey with the Montana After School Grant. Just give you a bit of an overview of what we hope to achieve today. So today we're going to give you a real basic overview of the ESSER-3 funds. And so this is the emergency, our elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds. These are the funds, the federal dollars that are actually funding the Montana After School Grant. So we'll get a brief overview of that. We will also give a review of the timeline for the after school funding process. We'll spend some time talking about allowable uses for after school funding because this is COVID relief money. It does have some stipulations for allowable uses. And so I'll go over those with you today. And then we're going to do a deeper dive in completing your E-grant application. And Mindy, my colleague who is also on, will walk you through that, and we'll do our formal introductions in 1 minute. Just so you know where we're getting our session details from. So there is my other role in addition to shepherding the after school grant is I have served as the ESSER program manager. And so it's been my job for the agency to kind of oversee the ESSER funding and ensure that particularly school districts are complying with the federal guidance. And so and that guidance applies to these after school funds as well. And so we're going to be pulling information that's directly in the ARP Act, or the American Rescue Plan Act, and it's related to ESSER-3 funding. These are published in the Federal Registry. This is a live link, so we'll post this up on the website along with the recording of our time here today, so you can go back and review any of this. There's also a really good ESSER and GEAR. GEAR stands for the Governor's Education Emergency Relief funding. If you have questions about allowable uses, this FAQ document is a really good one to go to. There's also an LPI FAQ document. It's probably targeted most towards schools. But there is also a good ESSER-3 guidance document that's available on the OPI website. And I'll show you how to get to all of those places before we get out of here today. But and just a disclaimer, this process has been evolving as the U.S. Department of Education makes new determinations and issues new guidance. And so we will keep you as up to date on everything that we know, and just ask for your flexibility in the process. I mean, one of the things that is crystallizing right now is what sort of data will need to be collected from you in this process. And we've tried to give you a good preview of the types of data that would be collected. I sent that out in the letter that you received a week ago today, that email that you received. But that will continue to crystallize. And so we'll keep you up to speed as we go there. So. All right, so let's let's formally introduce ourselves. My name is still Jeff Kirksey, and I am currently the ESSER program manager. I'm actually transitioning roles within the agency. I've actually moving into the senior manager for workforce and talent, and so moving into the HR realm. But I am going to be with you and transitioning, transitioning with you as we bring on a new ESSER program manager. And so, Mindy, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Mindy Askleson, and I am the program analyst for eGrants. So basically, my job is to develop the grant in eGrant, fix any problems that you have in eGrants, or help you get through the eGrant process. I have also warned Jeff that his new hire cannot be a dork and must be able to take our sense of humor and laugh with us. So
Nice.
I think if he's lucky, he'll put me on the interview team.
Nice. Yes.
But the good thing is, though, I started out in Jeff's position, so
yes.
you know, if anyone needs questions about something, I can do that too.
Yes. Yes. She is a wealth of information and a fun gal to chat with too. But Mindy really knows the ins and outs of eGrants. She was really involved in actually the crafting of the Afterschool application, and so she'll be a really great resource for you as you process and move through the eGrants process. So, and we'll actually walk through it here in a few minutes. Before we get to that, just wanted to give you just kind of a high-level overview of the ESSER funds that are coming into the state of Montana. So you'll see actually, and if you've kind of kept track with the COVID relief funding that's been approved by Congress, ESSER 1, you might know as the CARES Act, and that was the first round of relief funds that came in for elementary and secondary education. It was to a tune of just over $41 million. ESSER 2 came to us under the Carissa Act, and that was just over 170 million. And then in ESSER 3, there actually came a stipulation with that $382 million that 1% of that be set aside specifically for after school. And so when you are wondering where we came up with $3.8 million, that was actually articulated in the CARES Act. And so, and that was formalized through our own state legislative processes. So, and then there is a pool of funding that is also available, EANS funds, that's specifically targeted for non-public schools, or private educators, or homeschools. But I just wanted to give you a sense of where your funding is coming from. So there is a lot of funding coming through the federal government being infused into education. And just so you're aware too, that the 3.8 that we're looking at, we're actually looking at trying to actually in year 2 secure some additional funds, and so that we can sustain at the same level that we've awarded in year 1 for year 2, and we feel pretty optimistic about that. That's why we proceeded, but we are looking at about 3.8 million that will be available for summer programming too. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. We'll probably roll that out later on in the spring. So want to put a couple key dates in front of you because I know our dates were approximate and they're firming up a bit. So you submitted your intent to apply by November 12th. On December 22nd, you actually received notification, both those that were approved to move forward and those that were not received notification on the 22nd. And you were given access to e-grants. And in your e-grant application, you need to have that complete by the 14th of January. And so, and we'll be talking you through how to do that. And then we're looking at approximately August 1st, looking at award renewal. So, and kind of your first data submission. And so we'll be in communication with you about that over the spring and early summer, and as that solidifies. But approximately around the beginning of August is when we'll be looking at that renewal and first reporting. So, and then just some things to keep in mind as we look at these funds. These funds must be obligated by September 30th, 2024. And what that means is like, you have to have the funds accounted for in your budget in e-grants by September 30th. You can't make any changes after that date, and all of your funds have to be expensed no later than November 11th of 2024. They need to be liquidated. And so we tell you that now because that is the parameters of the grant. If you expend and obligate before that time, that's permissible. But if it takes you a little longer to expend what you're awarded, these are the maximum dates that you have. So just to keep that in your mind as you plan. And then specifically, I want to go over the grant requirements for the after-school funds. So, and this is both on the FAQ document as well as on the general grant requirements on the website, but just want to put them. I think I also put them in the letter that went out on the 22nd. So just want to make sure that this is abundantly clear so no one is in a situation later on and like, well, I didn't know that. So kind of first priority is COVID prevention, preparation, or response. You'll see that is the case with every single ESSER dollar that is coming, including the after-school grants. So grantees must demonstrate how their intended program will help prepare for, respond to, or prevent COVID's adverse impact on students' holistic well-being. And so when you think about allowable uses, that's kind of your first filter is how is this helping me prevent, prepare for, or respond to COVID? And actually the respond to is actually a pretty sizable window because we know that COVID has affected students and families in many ways related to their learning, their social and emotional stability, their economic stability. And so we just need to make sure that we're kind of always making those connections in how we're articulating the use of these funds. So and then as we are in a second is evidence-based interventions and strategies. So that means as we do social emotional learning to help students navigate kind of stressors exacerbated by the pandemic, we're actually drawing from research and we're doing evidence-based practices. And so we have some good tools on our website if you need to know more about what those evidence-based practices are. We also have a learning portal that we will be giving you access to that just equips you with a lot of good resources on social emotional learning, but also academic learning acceleration. And so different supports and enhancements that that you might be providing at the after school level, such as tutoring or study halls or other academic supports. So whatever supports that you're providing, we want to work hard to make sure that those are based in best practice, and there is a body of evidence supporting those practices. So, right. And then the third point is consistent level of service. And so what this means is grantees must ensure that Montana students, will have access to frequent, consistent after-school supports. And how we've defined that is that this means that after-school programs are providing at least 4 to 5 days of coverage per week, and or 4 to 8 hours of student participation per week. So we have some after-school programs that are on that are really focused on Fridays. So maybe they're not meeting those 4 to 5 days, but there's a real need in their community for after-school hours on Friday, and they are providing close to 8 hours of service on a Friday. And so they are kind of meeting that requirement. So and so these are really, really important. We want to make sure that students
have here. Holy Hannah.
Stromboli from the store. And I'm
sorry, I'm going to mute some folks. So anyway, just want to put those clearly on your radar that these are what we need to be shooting for is 4 to 5 days of available service per week, with approximately 4 to 8 hours of average student participation per week. So, and that is through a traditional school year. So, okay. All right, so I'll quickly go through some allowable uses. You'll definitely see a theme as I go through, but I want to give Mindy plenty of time to kind of drive through her slides as well. And I think Mindy might be able to answer that indirect cost question too when we get there too, of how that's determined. So, okay, so first of all, I want to kind of show you where you can find information about allowable use for ESSER3 funds, which the after school dollars are ESSER3 funds. So there is a guidance document. Again, this is a live link here, and so we'll be sending this out to you and posting it to the website. We'll also, here's a link for the ESSER Gear FAQ document. And that has really wonderful information. It is a lot. I think it's a 67-page document, the FAQ. So, if you are having any trouble navigating it, ask me the question. I know this document pretty well now. And so chances are I can speed up your searching process. So feel free to shoot me an email and if you have a question about an allowable use, and we'll take it from there. Are you seeing, let me just see. How about this? Does this help you? So I just realized I was going through slides, and you'll see the full slide deck, but you might want to see it now as well. So thanks for chatting in and letting me know that. I guess I'm too comfortable using Zoom. I take it for granted. So, all right. So here are the live links that I was referring to. And what you'll see is kind of that first level of, is this an allowable use? Is you kind of come back to this to prevent, prepare for, or respond to COVID-19. And the prevent and prepare for, that might seem more kind of finite, like those are practices that you're engaging to help keep your students healthy, ways to mitigate kind of virus spread and things like that. But respond is really more of the programmatic aspects of like, and even kind of how you're staffing to meet students' needs as they navigate all the challenges that were exacerbated by COVID-19. So, all right, so here we go, just to hit it one more time in a little bit different way. So, so here's a question that we get frequently related to all the ESSER funds, is how do you determine if an activity is an allowable use of funds? And so there's really three things that we're looking at. And the first is that prepare, prevent, and respond to COVID-19. And this includes the impact on the social, emotional, mental health, and academic needs of students. And I feel like most of our colleagues in the after school space are really working on kind of all of these student kind of holistic wellness. So their social, emotional, mental health, as well as academic needs. And so, so I think a lot of the work that you do in after school is really related to responding to the pandemic, because yeah, I'm sure you're seeing this even now. You have different challenges, and challenges that you had before are exacerbated by what students have been journeying through. So this second bullet, does the use of funds fall under one of the authorized uses of ESSER funds? And indeed it does. In fact, it's actually spelled right out in the CARES Act statute, and that after school activities is an authorized use. And so, and that's why there's that requirement for that 1% spending of the total ESSER 3 allocation. So, so you don't have to worry about that one. You've already met that one. And then the final one is the use of funds permissible under the uniform administrative requirements, cost principles, and audit requirements for federal awards. So this is the uniform guidance to CFR Part 200. So that's actually the federal regulations for federal grants, and it can kind of be summarized in a statement: is the expense reasonable and necessary to the performance of the ESSER awards? So as we're going back and we're looking at doing after school work in a way that is helping prepare for and respond to and prevent COVID-19, are those expenses that we're looking at, are they reasonable and are they necessary? So, and you need to be able to demonstrate that indeed they are. So, and we actually help through that process too, because in the budget that you will submit through eGrants, we'll actually review that, and just to confirm that what you're planning to use the funds for is actually an allowable use. So we're here to help you in that process. So we want you to be able to maximize use of every dollar that you're eligible for. So, and one of the ways that you'll do this when you are in eGrants and actually writing your budget, you have to do a budget description. And we just ask that as you do that budget description, that you take the extra step and actually try to make that connection to COVID. So here's a couple examples. So there might be a certain salary that you want to hire tutors to help support students whose learning was adversely impacted by the pandemic in order to help students reach grade level expectations. So in the description, so you want to spend some funds on staffing, but specifically you want staff, you want to add some tutoring support. And so
stuff. Yeah, trying to. Yeah.
So so we just want you to, in that description, actually make that connection to COVID. So another example here is you might be providing a certain type of support to assist students in addressing social emotional learning challenge exacerbated by the pandemic. So we're just asking in every one of your descriptions that you make that connection really clear to clear to responding to the pandemic. So, all right, and with that, and you'll actually see where you'll do these descriptions here in a bit, but Mindy, I'll turn it over to you. I'll let you drive for a little bit, so I'll stop sharing and you can start sharing. And you can walk us through the grant a little bit.
Okay.
And I should mention too, is you have questions where we go, feel free to drop them in the chat. I know Mindy was monitoring the chat a bit while I was talking, and she put in some great contact information in there. And but I'll be monitoring the chat as well. And so feel free to ask your questions there so we can get those addressed. So, but all right, Mindy, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Again, I'm Mindy Askleson. And are you seeing a screen that is red, white, and blue and says, this is the test?
Yes.
Okay. So I am going to steal somebody's login into this test site so I can show you exactly how everything works. So you would have already gotten an email from us that gave you the link that you need to click into eGrants. And just want to show you what you will be clicking into. What is this site right here? It does not have "this is a test." This is the real honest to God site. Just when I play around, I'd like to use the test site because I've been known to like erase things that I shouldn't have. So that's why I do that. So I am going back into the test site. I am borrowing from our colleagues in Butte. And once you click in, so you'll see here where when I got to my site page, when I got to my site page, I put in the email address that was given to you in that letter, and then I put in the password that was given to you in the letter. If you have not received anything from me with instructions how to log in or what your password is, drop your name in the chat box, and then we will get back to you. So now that I've put in my name and password, before I do anything else, I would like to show you a couple things. And what I'd like to do is draw your attention to this training tab right here. On there, you will see, and see if I can make it bigger for you. Yeah. Okay. So on that page, in the training, you'll see user guides. These are hyperlinks that you can click on that will give you information on how to access eGrants, how the security user guide goes, and how to create an amendment. These have pictures and they have, direct information as to how to get to where you want to go. But just remember, if worse comes to worse and anything happens, you can always call me, okay, if you have those issues. So I'm going to go back out now, and I've put my name in. I'm going to choose log on. My background is green because I am working in test. Yours will be white, so don't let the color confuse you. Now, you may have a little less than what is in here, but you all will have eGrants access and select. So what you're going to do is click on eGrants access and select. And then if you're not affiliated with a school, your organization will not see this screen, okay? This screen only comes up if you're affiliated with the school. And I'm going to choose that because they are affiliated. Now, what it's going to do is bring you to a page where it shows where your grants will be. What is counterintuitive about this, but it's the way we had to set it up, is your grant resides in fiscal year 21. So you'll see here the select fiscal year box. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to choose 21. And then it changes. Now, for those of you that are with schools, you'll see this a lot on your page. For those organizations that are unto themselves and not with schools, you will not see. Yeah, yours will be rolled up just like that. So I come on here and I know I'm in fiscal year 21 and I am just starting the grant. So I'm going to click on what is available, and then you'll see right here, after school program grant, okay? You're going to choose this chevron or arrow. It will bring down this box that says select project. You're going to click in the box. Choose, there'll only be one option for you to choose in there. And then you are going to choose create. Now, what has happened since I chose create, it took me right into the grant, okay? But what I want to show you is if I were to be coming back in after having done this grant, after having created the grant, the grant will now reside up here under created instead of down here in available. Okay? So you're going to start here, you're going to create it, and then it will come up to the top here next time you open it. So I'm going to click on this. And what I want to show you is it will automatically put in the program that you're working on. This right here, application box, tells you the state that your application is in. So right now, we have an original application that has not yet been submitted, okay? So I'm going to open that up, and it's going to take me straight to the first after school tablet, which tells you that when the Montana fiscal year is, it will give you general grant information about what you can and can't use, and then it will give you hyperlinks if you have some questions about, numbering your within your accounting system, or what the exact rules are for this grant. So now you'll see right here, after I had clicked this, it brought two. So this is a tab. When I clicked on it, it brought me down 2 sub-tabs, right? We went over the overview, and then I'm going to click on the next tab. And what this does is just give you the requirements of what needs to be done, how it's awarded, how it should be referred to, that sort of information. Now, the biggies with this is the economic impact and low students, students that are low income. So what you will do is look through these targeted populations, and you'll be having to decide how you're going to provide the information, if audited, that your students are low incomes. And that is something that Jeff may be able to work with you a little more if need be. So now I've gone through both of these. I'm going to go up here to the contact information now. Now the contact information gives us, as in OPI, who we need to talk to and when. Now, you'll notice when you open up your program, anything in this that is gray here means that it is coming over from another program or a grant, and that cannot be changed, all right? We'll talk about changing your contacts in a little bit, but I'm just showing you right now. You will see, so it'll populate this information for you. What you will need to put in is the summer phone numbers for both the authorized rep and the district clerk. So I'm going to show you something right now. So we're at the top of the page here, right? We came to look at this. If you go down and try to save this without doing anything else to it, you're going to get some red consistency check messages up there. What that means is you have done something wrong on the page and it's not saving. So real quick, let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, so the applicant mailing address is required and the project director must be selected. Okay, so they're not talking about this, but they are talking about the applicant's mailing address. So I am just going to put, what my own address in here. This is where you would put the address of the organization. Then the next question down is, will there be a program lead with dedicated time to administer the project? If you answer no, you'll have to put a rationale for why you're not doing it. And if you answer yes, you will have to answer these questions. Okay? So I'm going to pretend that this is yes. And I'm going to choose part-time. And the program director is other and then it's asking you to put in the names and addresses of the other people. Anything that has a star by it is an automatic that you need to put in. I, just to save time, I'm going to change this to authorized rep, and it's the authorized rep, so it's not going to ask me for any information. Let's see what happens when I save this. Don't get an error. Good. So now what we do need, though, is a person for you to add as another contact, just in case we can't get a hold of your district clerk or your authorized rep. We all know how people are running around doing, twice the jobs they did before. So we want to make sure that we have as many people that we can try to contact. So I'm going to put an email in there. Now let's say there's 2 people that you want. What you do is hit additional here, and then you just put another email in. Then you're going to save the page. Go up here, no red marks, so we're doing good. So now we'll go to the allocation, the money part. This is telling you exactly how much money that you are going to be receiving. For those of you that asked me about indirect costs, your indirect cost is already in this 52,000, already into your allocation, okay? What the indirect cost will do is allow you to pull out the indirect cost percentage and use it as an indirect cost that you can use other than having to put it in any of the other programs. And that'll make sense a little bit later as we go to the next part. So just remember, the money that you're going to get will be under allocations. The next is program detail. And while we're waiting for program detail, you'll notice on every page, you'll see a click for instructions. If you click on that, this hasn't been moved over yet, so it doesn't have the instructions in there yet. You'll find a sheet that has instructions in there. So again, our main tab is program, and you'll see it's got a couple of tabs underneath it. What that means is for every program detail, you will have to answer 4 screens. So let's look at this site information. We're going to put the participant. I am just making up names. Don't worry about what this. And I am in the Billings School District. Now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and save the page again. And when I do, you're going to see I get all these red errors. So that means if you're not sure what's wrong, why it won't accept anything, it's because you have something wrong with your with the different things that you have been saving. So I am just making up numbers here, and we'll put those in here. Okay, and then that is for my one site that I have. If you have another site, you would add additional sites and you'd answer the same things again. Okay. Now, from here down, this is where you're going to give your information on how you're going to verify whether your students are low income or not. And I'm just going to click on here. We're going to use free and reduced lunch numbers. Now, what you'll have to do next is fill in the program operations, describe your program, transportation, and safety and well-being. And just to save time, I am clicking stuff I had already pasted in there till I get to the end, and I'm going to do save page. Now we're going to go up to the top. We have absolutely no red messages, so we're doing good. But do you see how when I have that additional site there, I didn't put anything in it, so it already has takes away from my numbers and says fine. So now we're going to go to the next one, which is the program abstract. And again, all of these fields are required before you can save. So I'm going to save us some time, and I'm going to paste. Okay.
Didn't see that.
And then I am going to save the page again.
Jesus Christ.
Uh-oh, I got a red message. Okay, and what it's telling me is I did not write a long enough explanation, because the minimum amount that we have to write is 500 words. So now that means I need to go back and add more information to my things. So now I had put in here I have repeated what I put in there. It still only goes to 479, and up here it says 500. So my minimum amount in there has to be 500. And you can tell that by the number here. Let's see. Okay, paste. 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 And then paste. Save. And looks like I got it all. Now, let me give you a hint with working right in here. If you stall too long while you're writing, it will sometimes temp out or, close down. On your computer, you should have a lovely little button. I'll bring it over here so you can see what it looks. I can't bring it over there. It won't see over there. What it looks like is a notepad down on the bottom. And then when I click on it, it comes up. Hang on, I can't get it to move. It won't move. What happens, it comes up on my other screen, and that's where I'm writing the data. And then I can cut and paste and put it in here. Another way you can work it is I'll show you how to make this into a document, so you can type it into the document, keep it on file, and then cut and paste. Because I guarantee you, no matter what happens, you always forget something, or you have to change something, or you lose something. So let's put it in as many places as we can to make sure. So now I've saved that page, and now it's telling me I need to have at least one performance goal, and I have to have at least one strategy. And then I will save the page. Oops, Well, here's a different the message we got from last time. Now I have too many. I can only have 300. So I'm going to go back here and I am going to put 300 in. Copy, paste. And then we'll see if that'll take it. Object. All right, so let's get rid of this, delete. I'm going to paste. And I'm going to save. And it did it for us. Okay? This gives you a clue as to how many letters you still have to play with. Now, if we wanted to add another objective to this goal, you can click the add objective here, and some more will come up. So I've saved my page. Now I'm going to go to my last sub-tab, and that's Performance Goal 2. And it's just like the first one, but you're required to have 2 performance goals in your grant. So I'm going to put it in here, paste, and then I'm going to put a second strategy in, and then I'm going to save the page, and I get that message again. Cannot exceed 300. So I am betting that this is the one I have to take out. I'm betting this is the one I have to take. The amount of words I got to take out. Save page. Everything's gone. The error messages are gone. Now, this is where things get a little tricky. This is your budget page, okay? This is where you're going to be doing most of your writing and what you're going to spend your money on. And when you go in here, you'll notice 2 sub-tabs, Budget Detail and Budget Summary. With Budget Detail, you have your instructions here, and you see here where you're going to be working with object code, purpose category, use of funds. You have a sheet in here that will tell you what each of those means. So while you're filling out the application, either have this on a second screen or print this out in front of you. So I'm moving mine over for a second screen. And several of you have asked about indirect costs. Your indirect costs, if you are with a school, will already be on the page, and it will be down at the bottom, and what it will tell you is you get 2.78% indirect cost, which means you can use 1416 as taking it simply as an indirect cost instead of feeding it in with the rest of your categories. So while you have $52,369 to budget here, if you decide to use your indirect cost for your own indirect cost reasons, then it becomes 52. What was it? It becomes 52,369. Okay, 52369, and then I'm just going to make up a number right now. I'm taking away 1450. that means you'll only have $50,919 to spend in the rest of these categories. Okay? So just to be clear, indirect cost is not additional money. Indirect cost is the amount that you can pull out to serve as an indirect cost. I am going to stop for a second and see if we have any questions that we would like to get answered. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, this is Ken Holman. I'm wondering, the stuff you've been talking about is primarily the school related. Are you going to be talking about some of those that are not school related on this?
Yes. Everything I'm talking about right now is for schools and non-school related agencies. You will be doing the same exact application. The only difference is how much your indirect cost is. And as I wrote in the chat box, if you do not have an indirect cost already set up with OPI, you'll need to send us your name and your organization, and then Jeff will figure out where we get that cost from. Once the cost is figured out, I will automatically upload it so that you will see it down here like the school is seeing theirs. But everything I have told you up to this point, it goes both for schools and non-school affiliated. Does that make sense?
Okay, we'll see as we go along. Thanks.
Okay.
This
So-
is Anna Margaret with Upper Bound at University of Montana, and I see at least one other person that's located at a university. So if it's not regulated, the university indirect rate can be up to 48%.
Right. It
So we
is
would be-
regulated.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
And it probably won't go past 5.
great. That's good news.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I add, this is Jessie Herbert Minnie. I'm with the Spectrum Discovery Area. We're also part of the University of Montana. I think I guess that's a question I have, because our federally negotiated rate for this type of project is 40%.
Yep.
But we would need in writing, I think, if it can't exceed what you just said, 5%.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Thanks.
And yes, Jeff will get that out. What we'll have is a letter that goes out saying this is the amount you can take. And it's probably going to be the same. It is probably the same amount between the schools and the non-school organizations. And don't hold me to this, but the last 4 or 5 I've done, they haven't gone above 5%. So.
Yep, I'll nail that down for y'all and be in communication with that too. So, and just for organizations too, you do not have to do an indirect cost rate. So that's if your organization wants to pursue an indirect cost rate. You may choose to leverage all the funds without choosing an indirect cost rate. So that's really something for your organization to decide if they want that fund really. And the indirect cost is just it's a dollar amount that's set aside that your organization can use, that doesn't have to just basically accounts for any additional effort that your organization is going to expend related to the grant, and you want to use a portion of the funds to do that. So sometimes you might, like if you're hiring somebody to manage the aspect of the funds, you can actually write that into the budget if you want to do that, and then you don't need to do an indirect cost rate because it's going to be a direct cost related to the grant. So that's up to your organization to determine. So,
And if you need help deciding, give us a call. We'll walk you through it.
yep, yeah, because that's pretty individualized per organization.
Yeah. So I'm going to get back now to the sheet here. And what this is the crux of your entire application. This is where you tell us what you want to do and how much it's going to cost you. Okay? Now, there's a caveat with this. The caveat is this is COVID money, which means when you're explaining the description and itemization, you need to make sure that you put in there somewhere how it prepares, prevents, or responds to COVID. Jeff, could you write those words in the...
Sure.
Okay. Jeff and I have little yellow sticky notes that have been retaped hundreds of times as we keep repeating those. So let's start here. Okay, so we know we have $52,000 and we have a plan already set. And the first thing we want to do, we know we're hiring a couple aides to help with this. So my object code, if you go over here to your object code and you push in this box, you will see a drop-down menu, okay? This drop-down menu is explained on that one sheet that I showed you earlier, this one that we cut and we brought up and printed it out. So let's just say I'm going to start, I am going to hire some aides. So what you have to remember is whenever you do a 100, because that's personal services, the next line has to be a 200 for benefits. So we're going to do personal services, and what are they going to be doing? Again, these are defined on that sheet, but for what we're doing right now, I am going to use them for instruction to help kids work back on some of the things they need refreshment on. Now, this is the most important box here. The federal government, in its wisdom and its lateness, sent us a list of how we have to designate money spent. And so, of course, it was after everyone was done and all the money was out. So we had to add in this row so that we could dive down even deeper to find out what you're going to exactly use the money for. And the reason that is because the government is asking us for the exact amount of money by organization that was spent on each one of these things. So for this one, they're going to be helping with tutoring. I'm going to select supplemental services. And then here, I'm going to put to assist students who were unable to pass unit math. To assist who are due to lost and due to lack of learning the previous year. Okay, that's obviously not exactly, picture perfect. You understand what I'm trying to get across there. And then the only other thing is I would add the previous year due to COVID. And that makes Jeff smile. And that makes everybody happy. And I am going to say that I'm going to put $10,000 in there. All right. Now, when you're you're filling out this part here, don't use any commas or dollar signs. That'll throw an error for you. Okay. But I want to show you something. I put this in here. I'm going to go down and I'm going to save the page because you will be getting a lot of these errors. What this says is, hey, you put down object code personal services 100. We need 200 in here because you only told us about the 100s. So what I do then is I'm going back and I'm going to say employee benefits. Now I have to have the same purpose category and the same use of funds because it's all the same. And I'm going to say 20% benefits. Okay. And so it's at 2,000, right? Do I have that right? I think so.
Yes.
Yes. I played a lot of Yahtzee this weekend with my son. My adding skills have come back. Okay. So now we did this and we're going to calculate total. And here it comes down and it says you still have $40,000 to spend. So I am going to very quickly spend that money, okay? Are we doing a 700? No?
Do supplies.
Okay. So I'm going to click on supplies, which is the grab all for everything. And I am going to do these supplies, and this is where it gets tricky sometimes. I am going to do this for instruction again, but I am doing it, I'm getting each student a iPad that they have to use. So they're not using it. So individual iPads to cut down on having to share. All right, and just so we can get going through this, I'm going to put the rest of my money in there, okay? And it's going to be $40,369, okay? That's an extra zero there. I am going to calculate totals, and I'm going to save the page. Now, I have no problems up here at all. No reds messages. I'm going to click on budget summary, and that just is a printout for you. So you can see when you have to do your board reports, see where the money was spent, how much of it was spent, that kind of stuff. Now, that is the hardest part of the whole grant. It really is. The next parts are really easy. We have the assurances, and these have to be done by your authorized rep. And there is one already in there because they have an ESSER grant, so it just carried their common assurances right over. There's nothing we needed to do. Here are the assurances for the after school. I'm going to have to check the box. LEA agrees. And then the final assurance, it says both of these have been checked. And here's where people get screwed up. You have to click legal entity agrees, and this date will show up. And so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to submit it. And you'll first go to the Submit tab. You'll check on consistency check. And I have no errors whatsoever. Since the person that filled out this application is the AR, they will have the Submit to OPI button at the bottom of their page. If the person completing the application is not the AR, they will still run the consistency check, and then it will say this application has been forwarded to your authorized rep for approval. So there's a couple more things I want to show you, but I want to stop. The individual, I'm sorry, I didn't remember your name, about that is not with school districts. Have I answered your questions?
Yes, that was me. This is Representative Ken Holman in Miles City.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure there'll be more questions when we start filling it out. Right now, we're okay.
Okay. So, and that's what happens with this application. Now, I'm going to show you a couple other things here too. Every time you do this, somebody says, how do I print this? And the way that you print the application is you go to the Application Print tab, and then you're going to check the box, and it gives you everything that it will print for you. You can print it all, or you can only print some of it. It doesn't matter. Then you're going to hit Request Print. Now you see it has that I was requested the print at what time. Excuse me. Every hour on the hour, MTW, who is our contractor, prints the applications. So I requested this at 1:17, which means that at 2 o'clock, I will come back in here and there will be a hyperlink under completed jobs. I will click on that and my printed version will be there. And I can just download it. So that's what you do if you're looking to get your application printed. If you forget something or trying to figure out who did what, if you go to the Application History tab, it tells you the main milestones. So with this milestone, it talked about the fact that I did the consistency check, and if I would have submitted it, and in fact, I'm going to go back here just for grins and giggles, and I'm going to submit it because I can. And then you'll see congratulations. Okay. Now, what you see here is important. You see how it says lock and unlock? When an application is submitted, it automatically locks. Now, let's say something comes back and you have to make a change. So we're going to do that. We're going to go back to where we were when we first started the application. here is the after school grant program. And now you'll see it says submit it to OPI. When this is submitted, nothing else can be done with the grant until the grant has either been approved or disapproved. If it's approved, you can then go in and do amendments if you want, or whatever. If it's not approved, we can come back and do some changes to it. So, Jeff, how am I on time?
Yeah, maybe a couple more
Okay.
minutes if there's anything else you want to show them, and then I'll do a little wrap up when you're ready. So
Okay. So just so you know, then after this has been submitted and it's approved, it doesn't mean you're stuck to that design. We have a lovely amend button here. And that amend button, you just click and it will let you amend the site anyway, with what you need. Real quick to show you that when you're going to amend something, you're going to click on the amend button and you're going to go back into the same grant and you're going to make the changes to wherever it has to be made, okay? But before it will allow you to change, you'll have to go in and unlock the pages, because remember we saw they were locked. We'll unlock them and then work on doing the amendment. Looks like it's not helping me right now. So what I will do is, let's go back to open this, see if this will, no, mind, there it is. Okay. So right here, it's telling me I can't return it because it hasn't been approved by the district. Let's just say we gotten it and we want to go through and do it. We're going to go to the page lock control, like I said, expand all, and everything's open, so it'll be good. Or we'd have to unlock everything. Then we're going to check the submit page, and it says it's been submitted. But if we want to change anything, we hit the unlock button twice. And then we go to where we need to make the changes. So what you'll find then is when you get to the landing page of the grant, these 3 training things are right here that will help you. We are putting more and more out every day. Jeff, do you want to take over control and show them where the after school page is?
one thing, Mindy, would you just show them where, so if their grant is returned for changes, where would they see where those changes are, the changes that need to be made are?
Man, I knew you were going to ask that.
Sure you did.
Let's see what I can find here real quick.
I think it was under high school.
That one was. I wanted to see if we had another one that.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so, all right. Can you think of I'll go to the real website. Can you think of somebody you just?
Well, I think even if any of these that have review summary, we could at least kind of show them
Right.
how to get there. So.
All right, let me get up here. Find me. Okay, and so I'm going in here and let's do, buildings always has a lot going on.
Yep, that works. Yeah, you could actually go to either of their ESSERs.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay,
they-
so not submitted.
21.
Yeah. Return for changes.
Yeah.
Okay. So after you've completed your application, it goes to Jeff, and Jeff throws his dart at the dartboard, and it says, it's not true, but
No.
and you see it says return for changes. And you're like, okay, so what do I need to be changed? What you have to do is go across the row and choose review summary. Once you choose review summary, you're going to select the only dot that's there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to check review checklist. And then this checklist will come up, and it will tell you everything that is wrong and how to fix it.
Yeah, and this is actually a pretty good example here. So if you scroll back up, so if something needs to be changed, it will say no, and then it will outline what needs to be changed. And with this particular one, those clear connections to COVID prevention, preparation, or response weren't articulated. And so I'm actually asking them to go back into their budget description and make those connections. And I actually gave a couple examples of how they might want to do that. So, and that is something that I would do for you as well. The goal is not to deny you, it's just to make sure that your application is strong and it is compliant with federal guidance. And so I would do that. I will tell you, if you do not see this screen, when you click to review the checklist, it's likely because you have your web browser has a pop-up blocker on. And so you'll want to make sure you disable your pop-up blocker in order to see the change comments. So
And we have lists of we have a guidance on how to do that. But what you should know is this grant does not work well in Safari. It works best in Chrome and in Google, and it's not really set up to work on a phone.
right.
So we, just wanted to let you guys know that.
Great.
And if you ever call in with a question, the first thing we're going to say is, have you turned off your pop-up blockers?
Yes.
and we have lists out there to show you how to do that.
Yes.
Hey, Jeff, I wanted to read you a couple questions I have here.
Sure.
Okay. Elaine, for salaries, will it be necessary to complete timesheets for the hours?
Yeah, so you'll want to be able to document. It depends on how you're paying these out. If you're paying it out as a stipend or if you're paying them out hourly, either way, you'll just need to clearly document what you're doing and kind of how these and how those salaries are achieving the grant purpose. So if you are tracking your employees' hours, yes, you'll want to document those hours just for the purposes of audit. These are federal dollars. We're not sure what the audit requirements will be, but with any of our grantees, we want to set them up for a successful audit. So we'll want good documentation on that front. And then I see a question here from Elaine about, is the money distributed upon approval or quarterly or how?
We can show you that.
Yeah, it's actually, whoops, I just stopped sharing your screen.
Okay, go ahead.
You can reshare. So.
Okay, I'm gonna read. Yeah, reshare. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go back. All right. So what you will do when you're trying to request money is anything that has been finally approved, you'll be able to get money from. So what you'll do is you'll go into payments. Once you get to payments, this gives you your money, tells you where it's allocated. You're going to do view cash request. Okay, so I don't know if I can do it in here.
You might need to go back to test to do that.
Yeah, I think I might need. Okay, I'll show them one in here. So I went to the program. Now, if this was one that hadn't been taken yet, it would have a button that says create request, okay? But since one's already been created, I'm just going to use it. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to open it. You'll notice this mirrors almost exactly how we laid it out in our budget summary. What you need to do is very carefully copy what you had in each one of those codes, object code, use of fund code, and expenditures, so that they match. Because as you're putting the money in here, you'll save it and then you'll submit it. And it needs to match what has been said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to get out to do a cash request from the start. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask Jeff about?
Mindy, why don't we do this? Just in interest of everybody's time today, we'll put together a video on how to do a cash request, and we'll post that up to the website. So because that will come after you have submitted your application and approved, then you can start doing cash requests. So the grants, the grant is how the grant is made available to you. It is through reimbursing expenses. So you will do that through the cash request process. So, all right. So, okay. And we'll put together a short little video on how to do cash request. And that's a good segue on what I want, where I want to point you. Okay, so we'll share my screen back here real quick. So by all means, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask those right now. And one of the things I just wanted to point out to you, so that website where you went and did the intent to apply, you'll notice that the intent to apply form is no longer there. But the general overview of the grant is there. And then I want to show you kind of want to just highlight two areas that will be keeping information up to date. So as we're getting in questions that kind of relate to all applicants, we'll add those to the FAQ that's there on the website. So that's always a good place to look for. If you have a question, you might just check there first to see if anybody's already asked that question. But if it's not there, by all means, reach on out and we'll address your question. And then there's a tab here that says applicant information and resources. And that's actually where you'll find the guidance document on how to log into eGrants. That's also where we're going to post the recording of today's webinar, as well as the slides that were shared. And then we'll also do a cash request video, and we'll pop that up there as well too. So this is a living web page, and we'll add to it as needed. So and I will say, you're welcome to email me directly at that the email address that I emailed your invitation to the next round, or the invitation to do the submit the formal application. But because I am transitioning to into another role, if you email mt.afterschool@montana.gov, I'm monitoring that too. And then that account will also be available to my replacement when we onboard them too. So you might just want to make a habit of emailing mt.afterschool@mt.gov if you have any questions that you want to ask via email. And then I will put up a phone number that you can reach me at as well too. So here's that email address again, as well as the phone number. I think Mindy also put her contact information in the chat as well. And so you can reach out to her, particularly if you're having some troubles navigating e-grants. She can help you there. Mindy is going to be away on vacation. And so her colleague Carla can also help navigate e-grants. And Mindy, do you want to
putting her name in now?
Yeah, great. So we'll drop Carla's information there into the chat as well. So great.
What is Carla's? Huh, I have to look it up.
No worries. All right. Well, I'll let you do that before I close this out. Any kind of parting questions? I know you'll probably have more questions as you get into it, and no worries. We're used to helping people navigate through the system, if you navigate no problems, well, kudos to you. But if you're running into some problems and need some help, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. That is what we are here for. And we want to see you successfully through the application process so that you can start drawing down these funds. So there's Carla Beagle's number there as
And
well.
I spelled Beagles wrong.
That's all right. So, but if you need to get a hold of Carla in Mindy's absence, so Mindy, you're out the rest of this week and all of next. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And if you can't remember or you lost Carla's email, reach out to me. I'll get you pointed in the right direction. Happy to get you the help you need. So. All right, I know that was a lot to process, and we've eaten well into your lunch hour. And so, just want to reiterate, we're here to help, and anything we can do to help make this process successful for you and really impact kids and help them navigate the pandemic. Thank you for your willingness.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So, and thank you, Mindy, for your walkthrough. I know that's can be kind of tedious, but really, really appreciate that. So, all right, with that, I'll sign off and we will get this posted to the website probably within 24 hours. So thank you all and have a great afternoon.
Happy New Year's.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Thanks, Jeff.
You bet.
Thanks, Mindy.
Our pleasure.